Hey everybody, how's it going? Today is going to be a bonus Saturday video. So this will be released Saturday, I don't know, let's say the 27th or something. Should be like the 30th. I don't know. No, today's 26th, so 7th, yeah. 28th, 29th, I don't know. Anyway, this is a topic I have not really addressed since, I know I did a video when I was ecstatic that 200 people wanted to watch me, so I had 200 subscribers, so I kind of did this video. And what I want to talk about is, how did I get into computers? Like, I don't consider myself to be an expert in any way, shape, or form, but I definitely have higher than average knowledge, especially of some of the older stuff. So it may surprise you that I really never had computers till high school. We had a Tandy 1000. I'm 37. Well, November will be 37. So yeah, I'm 37. So back in like 89, 90, I remember my parents got a Tandy 1000, and we used to play like Sesame Street and some other games on it. And I later, like, I gotta be careful because I know I can ramble on and get very easily distracted. But like, I watch some of these guys on YouTube, and like, they know, like, my family computer was this model, it had this video card, it had this hard drive, it had this, it had that. I'm not like that. I know that we had a Tandy 1000, and based on pictures that I'm seeing, it was like a Tandy 1000 SL. I'll put a picture here somewhere. Because it had the green power button, and it had the red volume knob. I think it was a red volume knob. If not, it was white. And it just had a 3.5-inch floppy drive, no CD drive, and no 5 1/4 floppy. I don't even know if it had a hard drive. I think it had to have, because it had DOS on it. I remember my mother installing DOS on it. And but there was like a gap until I was in middle school, maybe. Middle school was the first time I was ever on the internet. It was at our middle school that we had the lab, and I'm going to try to find a picture. I remember trying to find a picture before, and it was very difficult to find. They were called like Magatronic or Magnatronic. Actually, I think a person I know on Facebook has one. There were some that were mini towers, and then some that were full AT cases. They were all AT, and I don't know the specs. There were some others that were, I want to say they might have been Pentiums, or they were probably 486s or early Pentiums based on the year range, because it was like 96, and my school system was not exactly rich. So, no, I would say it was probably 98, 99, the first time I was ever on the internet. And I still remember there was two websites we went to. The one he had us go to was mountwashington.org. And then then we were allowed to pick whatever we wanted as long as it was appropriate. Now, my brother and I were into car stereos by that time, and he used to get a catalog called Crutchfield, and they had the website on there, crutchfield.com, so that was the website that I picked that I would go to and look at car speakers and stuff, and amplifiers and other stuff that I was not going to be able to get at 14, 15, or what, no, 14, 15 would be like high school, like 13, 14, something like that. So around that time, we had gotten a computer. Actually, I went to a yard sale with my mother, and I convinced her to buy this Apple IIc. It had the 5 1/4 floppy in the side of it. It was the newer ones that had like the Alps keyboard, like the one with the lines in it. And what I'm about, part of this story is probably going to piss a lot of people off. But we used to make like banners and stuff with it. And it started glitching out like really bad. And I hate the fact I'm about to say this. But when it started glitching out, I hung it from a tree and just started hitting it with a baseball bat. And knowing what I know now from watching people like Adrian's Digital Basement, I could have replaced a memory chip and fixed it. But I didn't know that. I was like 15 years old. But from there, we had gotten another computer. I don't know, like, this is where I'm saying, like, I don't understand how people know all the specs from everything they've ever owned. I don't know what it was. It was just a standard desktop, case where the monitor sat on top. And my dad went to a place called Second Source Computers. And it had Windows 95, I know that much. And I remember like my sister was writing on it and then would get the out of memory error. Like when she was trying to make a Word document. So he ended up taking that back there and trading it for a Compaq Desk Pro 575 Tower. I'm going to try to get a picture of that, put it here. It's a computer that seems to have no existence anywhere on the internet. And it was a stand-up tower. He was told it was a Pentium 100. We later found out that Desk Pro 575 meant it was a Socket 5 75 megahertz. I found that out after I blew the motherboard up, but I'm going to get to that in a little bit. So that was the first computer we had on the internet at home. And we did a lot with that computer. I remember we had to put a network card in it when we finally upgraded to DSL, which I thought for sure my dad was going to be too cheap to do. But he finally did that. It was real funny because I used to play Quake. Excuse me. I used to play Quake with my friend Fred across the street. He had dial-up, but I think it was Quake that we did a multiplayer on, either that or Unreal Tournament. And it was funny because like he was on dial-up and like everything's moving full screen on mine, but he's like, so like I would just sit there, bang, headshot, headshot, like over and over and over again. It was actually kind of funny. And but yeah, we ran that for a few years. I remember that we were having problems doing something. I don't remember what. So my dad took it to the Radio Shack in Pennsville, and he had it upgraded from 16 megs of RAM to 32 megs of RAM. And like we ran that for a long time. It had a 1 gigabyte hard drive. I later bought a 2 gigabyte hard drive for a 486 project I was working on, and I didn't know about the limitations. And so we ended up sticking it in the Compaq. That was a Quantum Bigfoot. So here's where things get interesting. Somewhere around 2001, I want to say, I'm on lunch at school, and luckily for me, my daily driver then was a 78 Chevy C10 long bed pickup. The school threw away 26 computers. another friend of mine had called me out there. It was like, yo, dude, you gotta see this. So I came out there. Little did I know at the time that somebody had robbed, actually it was the friend that told me about it, had robbed most of the processors, but not all. And so, you know, I load them up in my truck, and then we and then take them home. I had this 4-foot by 8-foot train table because I had a big bedroom at the time. Because for whatever, my mother had a knee problem and my dad had another health issue, so they converted what was called, I guess, the den, or the, because you have a living room and then you had, I guess they might call it a family room. I don't know. I'm not too. So that was converted into their bedroom. So I took over their old bedroom, which was, I think it was a 13 by 20. And I had this big ass train table in the middle. So I ended up setting all these computers up. There were a couple monitors there, but I didn't know what the heck I was doing. At that time, I didn't even realize that, you know, red wire, you know, on IDE cable, and that red went to pin 1. I was, you know, I didn't know. I couldn't figure out how to get half of these working. And I forget what I was going to try to do, but I took the Compaq that the family had. I'd set up a, I had set my parents up with a 233 megahertz one, or was it a 150? No, it was a 133, because I tried to put Windows ME on it, but it wouldn't install because it wasn't 150 megahertz. Oh, excuse me. So I'm like, you know what? I really like the Compaq. Let me just take this 233 megahertz chip and put it in there. Well, it turns out a socket 7 processor will fit in socket 5, but power rails are different, and I think I fried both the motherboard and the processor. I know I fried the motherboard because when I went to put the 75 back in it, that's when we found out it was actually a 75 megahertz. It wouldn't work. And it wouldn't work anymore. I can't remember if the 233 chip I had put in there worked or not. But, you know, it was after that I took to going trash picking. And, like, anytime I saw computers out for the trash, I'd pick them up and I would try to learn how to work on them. But, like, I remember before my parent, like, I had a couple of trash pick computers before the big score from the school. But I remember, like, my brother's friend Justin, he came over. Like, I had this one, like, it was the Slimline Tandy, and then I had, like, another IBM one, neither of which apparently had hard drives, because he was asking me, you know, he's like, look, I need a hard drive, you know, I can set one of these up, I need a hard drive. And, like, I'm looking through these computers, I didn't even know what I was looking for. This was before we had gotten that other weird desktop that my sister couldn't really use properly. But we had, so, like, my relationship with computers up till about college was really weird. But at the time I picked up the 20-some computers, I had made friends with the guy who was our tech guy at the high school. And, you know, he had called me one day. I want to say I was living in Paulsboro at the time, but I was going to college there in Salem. So, yeah, he called me while I was at the college, and it was, like, right after I got my first cell phone. And he told me that he had a bunch more systems that they were throwing away. Now, these were all flat desktop cases. Not flat, but, you know, they were, you know, desktop cases. And they were all, most of them were Pentium 233. And they were all AT style. but there were a few AMDs in there. Now, he had, my dad had picked up a case that was probably 3.5 feet tall from the trash, just because he knew I liked computer stuff. He saw it, he's like, you know, Eric would like this. And I had that sitting around for a while. The hardware that was in there either didn't work or I couldn't get it to work. We'll figure that out later. But so one of the chips was an AMD K6 550 in this Asus board. I don't remember the model number, but it was an AMD K6 550. It was a weird board because at this time I had learned a lot by this point, and I had learned that you can get product manuals on the internet even back then. This was like 2004, and so I found the product manual and I thought it was really weird. If you had an AMD chip in there, it had an SIS chipset, it had that green chipset cooler, I remember that. You could run 512 megs of RAM at 133 if you had the Pentium, but you could run 1 gigabyte of RAM at 100 with the AMD, but the Pentium would not see 1 gigabyte. It was really weird. But so I opted for more memory, even though it was slightly slower. I think I had, at one point, I think for the longest time I had 768 megs in it because I couldn't find any more. I needed to find the memory. Like, we were not a rich family. So I ran that system for a long time. My brother, in 2000, he had gotten a Gateway Essentials 533 that he bought on credit. And he had that for a while. I eventually got that board to take a 800 megahertz Pentium 3 that was in another trash picked computer. But that was like, I think I ran that big tower, because I had put the board with the AMD. I think I had 2 30 gig hard drives in it, a CD burner, and a DVD drive. I ran that thing probably till 2007 when I built a AMD, what was it, 3200 plus. It was AMD 64 3200. And then I ran that for another 2 years, and then I bought a Core 2 Quad. And honestly, I ran that Core 2 Quad right up until the point where I started my channel. My very first videos were uploaded on that same Core 2 Quad. And then, like, I've had hundreds of computers since then, but like my primary computer was that Core 2 Quad right up until, God, 2015? Yeah, probably about 2015, and I built the i5 40, what was it, 4670, 4690K, and then I built the Ryzen 2700X that I'm currently running. But I've had hundreds and hundreds of computers, mostly all like the older AT style, and I wish so bad, you know, like you know how you have like those images of some things that you've done in your past? When we moved from that house in Paulsboro in 2007, I still have the image of these computers stacked out on the curb, waiting for the scrappers to come get them. Yeah, feels bad. Wait, hold on. I got rid of the 500 actually for Pentium 3 700 or 750 or 733, you know, something like that. I remember that had 768 megs of RAM as well. Yeah, I might be mixing those two up. The AMD might have only had 512 megs. But yeah, that was the 550. But when we moved from the house I grew up in to the house that I spent the remainder of my teen years, you could say, I lost a lot of stuff. Like, I had a compact Perlenia. I must say it must have been a 486 because it was a 66 megahertz, and like, I lost that. There were a couple of Apple computers I knew nothing about, and and a whole bunch of those other AT style computers. I had a couple. I think they were Pentium 2 compacts that I lost, but like I wish I could. I was watching I must say it was an LGR video, and it was like he could like name every component that he ever had in every computer, and I'm just like, dude, how do you do that? Like, I can't tell you. Like, that 550, I know I had some Sound Blaster based sound card in it, and I must say it might have been an S3 or Trident video card. It was an AGP card, that's all I know. And God, how do I put this politely? I pirated so much music and TV shows on that thing, man. But, you know, and then we get older and we don't do that stuff anymore, right? Wink. But yeah, I think I ran Windows ME on that for like the longest time. And it was weird because, like, with ME, it would run great, and then like you'd install Windows and be, man, this is fast. When you put like your Office program on there, it's like still running great. Then as soon as you start putting stuff on there, it just starts running like poop. But yeah, I just figured I would kind of talk about how I got into computers. I mean, I don't have that background where, like, you know, some of these guys, like, they grew up, like, it's like, yeah, I had this Tandy 1000 that I eventually gave to a girlfriend of mine in 6th grade, and honestly, I wish I had it back. I know for a fact she don't have it no more. But yeah, it was weird, man. Like it's funny because, like, I went from I know nothing to my mother being on cooking. She's on the phone with like the 3,000-foot cord. Yeah, Eric's messing around with a computer right now. You know, it's crazy. He can turn something from a pile of parts into a computer on the internet within an hour. He's a genius. He's a computer genius. I'm like, you're literally just putting things together. I mean, if you can play with those things where you put the square through the square hole, it's like you should be able to build a computer, but, you know, I guess not everybody. Oh, a cool failure story. So I had picked up all I know is it was a huge, the thing had to be 2.5 feet wide. It was an Acer 286 desktop. I picked up from the Arc thrift store in Paulsboro for $10. And I don't know, I was 13, maybe 12, 13-ish. Yeah, it was right after, wait a minute. So we moved out of there in 2001. So I'm going to say I'm like 14, 15 at this point. Because we moved out of there when I was 16 or 17. And I bought this. I took it apart because, of course I did. And when I went to put it back together, that was when I found out that you put the black wires together on an AT power supply. Because I actually did release some magic smoke from that computer. The bedroom I had at that time my brother had the upstairs attic as his bedroom, and you had to go through my room to get there, which sucked. But anyway, so I had this thing smoke, and I was on that side of the window. So yeah, the smoke, I guess the smoke must have went up into his bedroom, because he comes down and goes, "What's on fire down here? Is everything okay?" And I'm telling him what happened. He goes, "Oh, yeah, I didn't know that either." I'm like, "I guess these wires only go one way, and I put them wrong." And I later found out what that proper way was, but yeah. I have a very complicated history with computers. I think that's the only one where no, there was another one. I had bought a Phenon 8-core from a guy, and it was on an Asus ROG board, and I took it home. I wanted to put it in this one case I had, and I didn't check that the standoffs were in the right place, and shorted out a component on the back of the board. I don't think it released the smoke, but boy, did I kill an ROG board real quick. But that's going to be it for today. I don't want to ramble too long. I just wanted to kind of get this out here. I remember doing I want to say the video was like, "So who am I?" You know, back when I had 200 subscribers, and I thought that was absolutely amazing. So, I mean, it still was amazing. I still can't believe that. I think I have over 2,000 subscribers now. I know that if all 2,000 watched my channel, I would actually be in pretty good shape right now if I had 2,000 views per video. But we know that ain't going to happen. But, you know, because I'm subscribed to a lot of channels, and I don't even see them in my feed unless I search for them. I don't know that they have uploaded videos, and there's a couple that I kind of forgot. I have forgotten about because of the way YouTube algorithm goes. I get it. But anyway, thanks for listening to me ramble for 27 minutes. Thanks for watching. Have a blessed day. Don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe.